Shalom, shalom to everyone watching on the Ways of Israel. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero, Ways of Israel on my break. Thank Hashem that I do have a job that I can work from home, and for that I'm very thankful for. And also help a lot of people that have been studying for many years to prepare themselves to become Jews. And getting to know each one of these individuals is to me a privilege and really an honor to meet a lot of these people who have for years with all of these horror stories, literal horror stories of how they've been dejected, rejected, despised, and even pushed away into other movements, in particular the Noachide movements. And when they go through the conversion, they become very happy that they finally made it. Of course, we let them know it's only halakhic conversion. It may not be recognized by other rabbis or other communities because the conversion business has become just that, an obvious business. Recently, some Cubans from Southwest went through a conversion program, which that rabbi, I'm not going to mention the rabbi because he's very well known, charged them an arm and a leg. Of course, they were happy to pay for it because they felt they were going to get completely recognized by the Rabbanut. Lo and behold, there's almost like a war within the Rabbanut as to whether they can accept their own conversions. It's a crazy world we're living in, my friends. And this is why I mentioned to many of you that the main thing is that you do it because complete heartfelt. And one of the things you'll find with the halakhic conversions is that more people that go through it are more earnest. They don't have a motivation as many who go through the actual system of wanting to be recognized by Israel and what have you. And that shows basically the integrity that after the conversion process, they demonstrate by their action their true desire to connect with Israel by their observance, by their way of life. Many who go through the system, as we know, there's always a percentage of those who don't follow through with living under the yoke of Torah. And I've seen many great rabbis who've taught many of these recognized conversions really have their jaws dropped when they see some of their own students completely machal Shabbat and desecrate a lot of Jewish laws, and they scratch their heads and they say, you see, not really Jewish. Well, my friends, we understand that once a person goes through conversion, it is clearly that after they go through conversion, if they happen to regress or decide to take off the yoke, they do so no longer as a goy or as a MK Haredi in Israel would call them, a shiksa. Rather, they're 100% Jewish. And this is something that we have to come to terms with. That the responsibility of following the yoke of Torah falls upon the new Jew and the emphasis that was laid upon them before they took the dip, as it were. Same thing I mentioned to many of my fellow colleagues regarding this idea that all of a sudden they go through the conversion, the halakhic conversion, and lo and behold, right afterwards, oh, I believe in Jesus. I believe that Jesus is the Messiah. Or another one, which was really funny the other day, which was coming out of the Noachide group, because, you know, the Noachide group is infiltrated by Hasidic Meshichists. In other words, a lot of Meshichists, Hasidic Meshichists, are those that basically believe that their leader, the Rebbe, is still the Messiah. I'm not going to go into that whole argument. But the fact is that they go in there, they teach them, and they really propagate their mind to believe you have to believe this, and this. If not, you know, you're not really Jewish. Then we have the issue and the problem of, well, you know, he doesn't dress like a Jew. He doesn't look like a Jew. You know, he looks, you know, clean shaven. He's not keeping everything that's supposed to. And then we have the issue of hashgacha. You know, if you dress black and white, you obviously must be an observant religious Jew. That's not always the case, my friends. So we begin to determine who is a Jew by what they look like, by what they perhaps appear to be. And once you take all of that away and you see the actual person in the action, you'll know who a Jew is by their actions, by their doings, by what they do or what they don't do, like break Shabbat and so forth. But we have no control after they leave, you might say, the immersion waters, the tavila, the mikvah. But we can impress on them for follow-up and to correct themselves in the ways of Hashem. That we have, as it were, a moral and biblical and ethical responsibility one for another, to encourage the study, to encourage the learning, to encourage the growth in each person that converts. Talking about conversion, we are having this end of week, this weekend, over 20 plus people who have already applied for the conversion programs, and they have been learning and studying, and they're ready to go for the conversion. So this Sunday we will be having our monthly conversion, free conversion, right here in South Florida. You can go to TorahJudaism.com and apply right there and register. And obviously I like to send my exam to individuals to make sure they have at least a basic knowledge of Judaism and get to know them a little bit better. We've also set up another site, an institute, Yeshiva Institute in Israel, where they're registering every single person who goes through the conversion program, whether through this Bet Din or any other Bet Din. It's good to have a registration, that way you know, like others know, that they have gone through the process, they have gone through the learning, and any of the rabbis that are now connected to the system can check out all the documentations and everything. And this becomes an incredible opportunity to do conversion. Now, this whole conversion is now reaching the political levels in Israel. As you know, two different things happened this week. One has to do with the Supreme Court making it acceptable all form conversions by the non-Orthodox world. Of course, there's a lot of people very upset, at least in the Orthodox world, about that, because they feel that they have now lost a level of control over the conversion business, which means that you don't have to go through the Orthodox system to get a conversion that's recognized by the state of Israel, the secular state of Israel. Obviously, there are issues with that, but at the same time, after we've seen how many halakhic Orthodox conversions the Rabbanut has rejected and continue to this day in its opposition to maintain a full control, I must say that I would agree with the Supreme Court, which the state of Israel is not, let me repeat this again, is not in a state of redemption. And thus, the fact that they are doing this is for the benefit of all people, all Israel, in there, to the benefit of the state, secular Jewish state. When the things change over and when the religious Jews decide they want a monarchy and change the Knesset and change the members and really purify, take out the deep state that's within the electorate Knesset, then we can say Mashiach is here. There's a lot of corruption taking place. And this is why I'm glad to see that the Israeli Supreme Court made the decision for the benefit of everyone that wants to connect to the Jewish people in Israel. And that, of course, sparked an incredible bad expression from one Haredi MK member who called a lady who basically went through the IDF conversion program that they have in order to make sure everyone serving is Jewish, and called her a shiksa, a goy, a non-Jew. Went through the whole process, through all learning. And that is disgusting, my friends. We have problems within the ultra-religious community in that they tend to shake off and shirk off, as it were, to shake off of them any idea of any conversions. That they're the only ones that can be able to do it properly. Well, the Torah and our halakha is very clear and simple. Just need to read the instructions and just follow it to the T, and you won't get into any trouble. problem is they're making it so difficult. Even till this day, many people who were converted in Latin America in particular are still to this day not being accepted in Israel, and many times are discarded as woody Jews, when in fact they are halakhic Jews. They're Jews with 100% standing before God and before Israel, and they are counted in minions. And thus, as long as they do it halakhically, here's a perfect rabbi that I know. He went to Cuba, Rabbi Stein, a wonderful man, wonderful Hasidic man, and yet all of those 100 conversions are not recognized by the rabbinate. None. Yet his conversions to this day basically stick. How do I know? Because I'm in contact with them plus a bunch of other that converted through other Beddins in Cuba. And now you know what the issues in Cuba are. The first thing they'll tell you, well, you can't keep being a Jew in Cuba. Yes, you can. I've been to the island. I know how to. And once you give them the tools to teach them how to keep kosher in a situation that is almost impossible, then you can be able to say, we can change it there. My friends, to be a Jew is an easy thing if you follow the way the halakha tells you. Now, if you want to be one of those type of Jews that you want to go beyond what the halakha says and go beyond what's required, then you may have difficulty. Then you're posing upon yourself more restriction that even Torah and the Moshe Rabbeinu required. And so we learn to teach people the very simple basic rules of Judaism and Torah halakha, accepting both the written and oral law. And here we go back to the issue of politics. Politics and conversions are something that we see taking place in Israel. And I'll tell you why. And I've meditated upon this for many, many years. Why the issue in particular with Latin America? I think Rabbi Ovadia Yosef had it right when he suggested that when a conversion is being done in Latin America, make sure they take upon themselves the Sephardic custom. You see, the problem is that there are more people in Latin America that attach themselves to the Sephardic way than they are of the Ashkenazic way. You know, when you go to Latin America and you see all of these Hispanics that look like Hasidic Jews, you say, wait, there's something wrong here. Wait a minute, what's happening here? And we dare not say they were proselytizing for the Hasidic mindset. No, 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 no. They allow that, no problem. Why? Oh, because they're now becoming frum Jews. A frum Jew is not necessarily a person that basically puts the black hat and the black kapata and long beard, my friends. When you get to know and learn halakha, you'll understand that a little bit better, and you'll understand, you know what? Why are you putting me all this stuff on top of me when I don't have to? Not according to halakha. And so we are exporting out of Israel and out of certain communities an extreme form of Judaism that basically binds the person to such an extent they later drop it. And I've seen many Hasidic converts or converts to Hasidim, they basically eventually they say, I have enough, I'm burnt Yid, I'm going to shave off my beard, throw out my kapata, throw out my Judaism. And that's what happens when you instruct them not to follow halakha and instead of follow customs of different Jewish communities. Now, of course, this is all political. Going back to that for a second. The politics of conversion is who's going to control Israel. That's the reality. Keep in mind, just in Brazil alone, over 35 million anusims. In Latin America alone, when you put the numbers together, it's such an overwhelming amount that literally when you talk about anusims in Israel, they shake. Why? Because the power play can be easily shifted once all of these Hispanic Jews, or Jews from Spain originally, return back to Judaism and put it to practice. But not to the extreme practice, to the normal Jewish practice. When you have that, you're going to have a very powerful influence in Israel in regarding to the political. You know, you won't be seeing people walking around in majority with black hat and black coats, rather in regular normal clothes. In the regular clothes that was known in Spain, in Latin America. You're going to see a big change over. And what will the Haredi community say? Oh, complete usser. Everything becomes usser. You know, and this is why it's such a turnoff to a lot of Israelis, because everything is usser, everything is forbidden. My friends, if you follow halakha, not everything is forbidden. There's a lot of ways around things that is permitted. And when we begin to teach people that in fact there are a lot of things that are permissible within Judaism, they don't see Judaism with such a negative light like they see it today. I'm not talking about, oh, now you're basically lowering the standard. No, keep the standard high. But you do it in such a way that it's appealing, that is drawing. And if your Torah Judaism is such that's repelling, there's a problem with your concepts. The ways of Torah is peace, not hatefulness, not ugliness, not I'm going to be vindictive and have your name completely blasted all around the world in a negative light. This is Lashon Hara, this is Moshe Shemra, and we're reaping the result of what we've sown. And unfortunately our world, even the Jewish world, is dying, literally, being divinely judged by the actions that these communities have taken upon themselves. I'm tired to see so many Jewish death as a result, and having to say, Baruch Dayan HaEmet. Yes, Hashem is Emet. His judgments are true. But we have to come to terms with this reality that it is us that have caused this great harm upon our own people by watching what we say in the political environment that is so anti-proselyte, anti-conversions, when we should be embracing the converts and be happy and give them the welcoming mat. And instead, every time I hear from Israel and Israel's leaders in the Knesset in different parties blasting away a convert, and this one convert from the IDF, a woman who basically felt so offended, she said she would not forgive that person for what he caused her to go through publicly. My friends, when you do that, and I'm talking specifically to my fellow colleagues, my rabbi friends, that they think they have a justification to humiliate converts, to make them feel like they're complete garbage, shtus as it were, completely nothing. When you do that, you are harming all Israel by bringing God's eye upon the Jewish, the Jews of blood heritage in his eyes, and he doesn't like it. God does not like it. And what does he do? The courts decide. Think about this, for example. The court, the secular, non-religious courts in Israel, has to decide to do what is right when the religious should have been doing this all the time. That is what's so mind-boggling. Secular Jews that even perhaps don't even believe in the Torah are telling you you have to accept them for the benefit, for the good of all of Israel. And now we have such people like this guy Edry, which I told him he's a racist, and he's a racist because he specifically targeted Latin America by blocking them to enter Israel. And then you wonder why this is happening. Ask those interior ministers, why is Hashem bringing down what he's bringing down in Israel as a result of their political decisions? You see, the decisions of these politicians have a result throughout the whole nations. The decisions of the rabbinical leadership in this country and in all other countries has a direct bearing upon the Jewish community in those countries. Think about that for a moment. And perhaps we can do true shuvah and really have the merit, the sechut, to be able to bring and see, realize the true Emet HaMashiach, which has not yet been revealed. May it be in our days and your days too. Shalom, shalom. And be part. If you need, contact us at The Ways of Israel or at rabbiotero@yahoo.com.